Alright, okay, so this video is gonna be a bit different. I've been thinking about this for a while because I thought to myself, I wanted to rant a little bit, while at the same time, give off some really good factual data to you guys. So I thought about doing an episode kind of like this. I don't know if you guys liked it or anything. You guys can literally just turn off your screen, and this is just gonna be me talking about a couple things that you might have not known previously. And I hope that this will become a lot more of a video that you can just lie down and listen to. I don't know if a lot of you likes the way I think, but seeing how the game has progressed and the lack of any content creator with some credibility, I hope that you guys might enjoy this one. I'll just be ranting about a couple things that I know about, or that I used to think about in the past. Alright, let's start. Well, the first topic that I want to talk about is actually about Berserker. I think for a long time, since I first played the game until about midway towards 2022, so around May, I've always believed that Berserker could stand up much quicker than any other class. And the reason I want to talk about this is actually around 2 days ago I had a conversation with Matt Cat. It's the guy from the Taiwan server that I feature on one of my videos. I had this long conversation with him regarding this. He was asking me, does movement speed affect your wake up time? And then it got me thinking about what I used to think about back then. So it's like me thinking about what I used to think about. It's pretty damn funny if you think about it, but it is how it is. So the truth is, it doesn't. But what it does is, it affects the wind-up of your skill when you stand up. So say that you want to use your evasion, or you want to use your skill when you stand up. Those skills have wind-ups. Evasion have wind-ups. Evasion is affected by slows as well. And because of that, although the movement speed don't affect your wake-up time, it affects how long you need to wait before your skill or your evasion comes out. Because the wind-up is affected. So this is something that I used to test a long time ago, because I used to think like, okay, so Berserker makes me, like when I combo Berserker, he wakes up really fast and he CCs me. Majority of people might just think, oh, Berserker wakes up really fast, and I used to think that way too. I used to think exactly just like that. But it turns out that I was wrong. The answer is, no, he doesn't. What's true is, he slows down your attack speed and your movement speed by a fair amount. 25% if I recall correctly from Vicious Rend. So your spellcasting became slower. And because your spellcasting became slower, when you feel like you're supposed to be able to cast 2 or 3 skills with certain classes, before getting out, you get CC'd. Because you applied the same thing against a Berserker with every other class. And so what's actually affecting you here isn't that he's waking up faster, but he makes you slower. He makes your attack slower. He makes your wind up of your skills longer. He makes the backswing of your skills longer, so you can't cast a skill fast enough for those 3 or 2 skills to come out before he stands up. And because of that, he stands up. He appears like he stands up fast, but in reality is, he doesn't. It's you that's slowing down. So this particular myth was long debunked. I debunked this. I did a very thorough testing about this one in particular because it was something that a lot of people believe in. But I've always had this thought that if that's the case, then it's just plain unfair. And if you think about it, in Black Desert Mobile, everything that's unfair is pretty much written in a way that, okay, so this is broken, and everyone can sort of see it. But waking up faster is not tied to anything. It's not tied to stats. It's not tied to skills. It's not tied to passives. It's simply just how it is. So this got me thinking, is it really true? And it turns out, for all this time, we were all stupid. But I think I've never had this conversation before with you guys, so I'm pretty sure a lot of you might still think, oh, okay, it's just big fish talking bullshit. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Havoc Thrust hits you before the animation reaches you. Oh, I got CC'd before he even arrived. I said this so many times. I've heard a lot of people say this many times. So is it true that the Havoc Thrust hits you before the animation reaches? And after thorough testing, and I'm pretty sure I did this test somewhere around 2021, late 2021, somewhere around the release of the Berserker first gen rework, when he finally got Reckoning Karthoses, and for the Karkia, the first ever Karkia, I think it was around June or July, somewhere around that time, 2021. I did a testing for the class itself and for the skill itself, and it turns out that technically, yes, Havoc Thrust does reach you, it does CC you before the animation reaches. And the reason for that is because the hitbox and the CC frames of Havoc Thrust is about 2 meters in front of him, while the sword is barely 1 meter in front of him when he uses Havoc Thrust. The animation itself basically only show about 1 meter from you and him before it connects, because that's where the collision stops. But the truth is, the CC is already there before he arrives, because it's at least 2 meters in front of him. That's where the CC frame goes. So that's actually where, when he stabs you, the point of the light animation of the sword is where the CC frame lie. So it's not exactly on the sword, but it's actually on the light that's extended from the sword. And this is about 2 meters in front of the character itself. And this is why when you see, oh, I wasn't supposed to get CC there, but I did. Well, that's how the skill works. So is it a bug? No, it's not. It's just a broken skill. So this is also one of the things I think about. And I'm very stoked to find out that, okay, all this time I was wrong about a couple of things. I was wrong about this, I was wrong about that. And that's kind of the process of learning something new. That's the process of you becoming smarter. Is the process of understanding that maybe you don't know everything. And by eliminating one of, like, every single bits of that, you slowly get smarter. This is the same process of learning things. It doesn't just apply in BDM, it applies in everything you do in life. Like, when I first started as a chemist, I didn't know a lot of things. When I first started doing chemistry, when I was starting with my, I'm a chemist, so I do chemistry for a living. And I think when I first started, I had a lot of things that weren't right. I thought about DCM, being able to blah 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 with this, but it turns out it doesn't. And as I continue experimenting, learning something new, asking people who I know about, people who I know is better than me, then I get a better idea of things. I start to learn what's right and what's wrong. And unfortunately, in Black Desert Mobile, this is a very difficult concept to understand, because one, there isn't really much clarity from the game developer itself. So this is something that the game itself just simply don't tell you. Like, unfortunately, this is how the game goes. It's the game is amazing, but the developer is lazy. The developer is ass. And because of that, you don't have a lot of access to factual data regarding their own game. And the many other things is, although the game don't specify a couple things, there aren't any content creator with that capability or the grit to actually find things out for themselves. And so they ended up either just posting random bullshit of them in the arenas, editing their own clips. They will put out they would go 100 recordings and they'll pick the best 5 to put on YouTube just to make people think that they're OP and stuff, which is completely false, and most of them are actually garbage. Or there are Black Sun YouTubers who just make Black Sun videos. There are meme YouTubers who just make memes like Zero. There are so many different kinds of content creator of Black Desert Mobile in the span of the last 3.5 years. However, there isn't actually even a single one, aside from me, who talks about factual data regarding the game in a deeper analysis. Like, most of them would just point out or something, but they don't really explain about what this does and what does this work. They don't do proper testing regarding this and that. And so the understanding of mechanics between someone like me and someone in my circle compared to the majority of people on YouTube who are watching this video right now is very, very far. There are so many different things that we know that we can do in Black Desert that you guys might never know about, because there isn't anyone who's telling anything about this, and majority of people are just waiting for Uncle Big Fish to tell them about it. But unfortunately, like every video takes quite a while. Like a lot of you here might think like, oh, okay, so Uncle Big Fish, sometimes you make good videos, sometimes it's just something that we already know, or it's something, or you're just posting out random arena content. And this is actually one of the things that I want to talk about as well. Like, when I give you an arena clip, when I give you an arena content, when I did all of this, you can, if you stop thinking about it as simply just arena fights and try to learn a couple things of why I did this or why I did that. Why did I decided to do this? Why did I decided to move backwards on this particular thing? Why did I decided to disengage? Why did I decided to go really aggressive? Like, these are the little things that people just don't understand, and most people just see it as, oh, you're just trading. And this is the difference. Yes, this is the difference between a pro and someone who barely know about the game. If you're a pro, you probably win a lot more than you lose, regardless of whatever class you play. And this is a process, yeah, like this is a process of you learning the game or learning anything. And a lot of people just don't seem to have, one, interest, or two, they just don't care. So this is just a couple of things that I want to talk about when it comes to Black Desert. I think that moving forwards, I would really want to see like people more interested in studying the mechanics of the game. There's so much that I just can't seem to explain in a single video. But for this one at least, there are a couple more topics that I want to explain. Like, there's people who tell me like on my comment section, like I get at least 75 comments every single day on different videos. I mean, I have hundreds of videos and people comment every single day on different ones. And yeah, like sometimes I receive like different kinds of comments. Like, I got people commenting me like, oh, you're a piece of shit, blah blah blah, very very common stuff. Yeah. There are people who are saying, oh, Uncle Big Fish, I love your work, blah blah blah. which I love to see, and I do read them every single morning and when I drink my coffee. And there will be some times when I would when I come across these different comments of people telling me like, oh, this is what you said is wrong, blah 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 blah. But then it turns out they just don't know enough, or they skip videos, and they skip things, and so they don't listen to the entire video, and they were just commenting immediately just to make themselves look smart when it actually makes them look stupid. But then again, very rarely I find these comments of people saying, oh, okay, this class is shit. Why? Because it can't 1v1. Or like, oh shit, this class sucks. This class can't trade. Oh, this class sucks because this class has no damage. Oh, this class sucks because this class is soft. There are so many different factors that contribute into how a class performs. Not every class is meant to be played 1v1. Not every class is meant to be fought 1v4. Not every fight is supposed to be solo. Not every fight is supposed to be you chasing someone else. Now, this is a couple things that I want to talk about today, because I think that people just don't seem to understand that this is an MMORPG game with a very thorough mechanic. I think that Black Desert Mobile, for a mobile game, is actually a very complicated game filled with a lot of nuances that you might need a lot of time to learn. For example, I want to explain about a couple things here. I'll have two topics I want to talk about today. So the first one would be like, although some classes don't have all the things I've talked about, in some scenarios, that class might have the capability to contribute in a different way. Maybe they can slow shit down, like Primrose, or dampen healing. That actually don't exist, but it's gonna be a pretty cool game. It's gonna be a pretty cool class. A class that can disable healing. That's really, really good. I think it's a pretty good idea yeah, I would like to see that actually. It can make your allies stronger, heal your allies. Like, these are all nuances of MMORPG games in general. And I think like people just seem to think like, oh, if a class doesn't have damage, and it sucks. Not necessarily. I mean, if you think about it, like the most broken classes in the game, the most broken ones, they don't have damage, guys. 2020, the Archmage era. Archmages don't really have damage. If you see during the era, the Archmage's damage is very, very low. It's got very low base power. But because the environment it's a class with a lot of iframes, so it barely takes damage. It slows people down. It's got good AoE. So it becomes a class that's near untouchable because it has a lot of iframes. And I think this is the same concept with every single class that became God, like Raven, Archmage, Destroyer. During the times, of course. Destroyer now sucks. But this is something that you might not understand. Like a lot of people might not understand this, that a class doesn't always have to deal a lot of damage to become broken. Like, a class becoming broken is usually because it has either too many iframes, or it's got a very good grab with a lot of burst damage. Like this is usually the combination that makes something broken, right? Like, a lot of iframes usually is always going to be broken. Like, you can pair this with literally anything and it'll still be broken. Like, Destroyer during Destroyer era had no damage. It's got very low damage. But because you can't hit it just doesn't take damage. It's just permanently iframe. Those little bits of damage becomes a lot. Because you can't hit him back. You can't deal damage to it. So it becomes broken. AM was the same way. Raven is the same way. Raven's damage is very, very low, guys, compared to many of the current broken ones. Raven's damage is pretty low. but she is almost entirely permanently on iframe with a lot of mobility, and so you can't do anything about it. And then there's like, this is usually the good pairing. Like iframe with anything is gonna be super broken. And then there's the Yacha era where, oh, you got a very, very strong grab, the grab with the longest grab frames. Grab frames is literally like the time of when you press the skill, and the skill will seek for a target to grab. And different classes have with different grabs have different grab frames. For example, the Paladins version only have like 4 grab frames. Yacha got 28 grab frames. Glad got like 24 grab frames. GM 18, Titan 20. Like these, like when you mix a really good grab cooldown with a lot of damage, then it's usually broken, because grab is a very broken mechanic in the game, especially when it's a very low cooldown and all that. And also another pairing that's really, really strong is if a class is very tanky and it heals a lot. Now this is usually very broken, because something in BDM has always been constant. Damage is always more than sustain. I think the healing mechanic of BDM has always been very weak. Like potions heal like 1,000 max. Even with maximum investments, your potion will not heal more than minimum damage, or if something hits you, it's definitely gonna hurt more. And then you have a class that can heal you, that can heal itself and its allies, like Shy. Like Shy is very bulky, it can heal herself and her allies, but at the same time, this class don't have mobility. It's got the worst mobility in the game. Its damage is very, very low. But in return, she gets that ability to heal its allies and contribute in that way. And she's very, very tanky, so she can play as a tanker. And also, this class have the Bear, which deals damage and slows people down by 30%. So this is the way that class contributes to the team fight. But there is something that this class got that it had to sacrifice. It sacrifices mobility, it sacrifices damage. But as the game goes forwards, like these nuances starts to disappear. Like I think for a long time, I think Black Desert has always had this original thought of creating a class with different identities and what it can do and what it could contribute in this way or that way. But as time goes on, I feel like they just go like, fuck that, we'll just make one class do everything. Like if you think about it right now as we speak, if you think about Titan, what does this class remind you of a lot? It's a class, what role does it play? It's a tank. It has a lot of damage. It can grab people. It's only got 6-second grab cooldown. And it can heal her allies as well, his allies as well, depending if you're a girl or a guy, of course. So it's like it deals a lot of damage, like a wall breaker. Not really like a wall breaker, but pretty close. So it's got the damage output of almost a wall breaker. It's got the sustain of a tank, the best tank. It's got the sustain unlike like a healer. So it's like, put it this way, this is a class that heals like a priest, it can tank like a crusader, and it deals damage like a berserker. Like, why would you play Shy when you have a class like that? You can say like, oh, the Shy can heal her allies. The Titan can do that too. And even better. Because there are 2 reasons to why Titan is better than Shy at healing her friends. The Titan don't need MP to heal, because Fearsome Tyrant don't require MP. It heals much quicker. It heals 10% of the allies and itself HP in 1.5 seconds. And because of this, it can invest the imprints on something else aside from MP regen. It can invest more of its imprint slots for something else, like say healing reduction or crit chance reduction or something else. So it can invest its imprints on something else, and this enables a different contribution to a different thing. While Shy is locked to using MP imprints, because if you have no MP, then you're pretty useless. So you think about that, like why in the world would you want to play Shy when there's Titans? Like I can literally do everything a Shy can do, but better. Unlike the Shy, I'm not crippled by low damage. I have one of the best mobility in the game. I have one of the best grabs in the game. Like why in the world would I play a Shy when I can play a Titan? Like it's literally just different by aesthetic. Like the only thing different between a Shy and a Titan essentially is that Titan is just superior in every single way, while Shy only have one thing, I guess. It's a female character that's small, so it's pretty much just aesthetic. Like the only thing different between a Shy and a Titan is the aesthetic, and the fact that Titan literally just dumpsters her in every single criteria. Like it's just better in everything. And then there's like a lot of different like examples, like how the game has been progressing. Like the game just goes like, okay, I'm gonna power creep everything, and I'm gonna make one class meta. Like a lot of people have had this thought that, oh, if they're doing this thing on purpose, like they're buffing one class to create a meta. But I think this is actually not good, and the reason for that is actually because if you create a meta, means one class is stronger than any other class. It means there's only one option to change. Imagine a scenario where every single class is good or usable. Then the choices became limitless, and people can CC to anything. Over 43 different classes to choose from. I think this would make the game more interesting. It would make the game more towards strategy. This would dampen delusion. And of course, in like every single game, it would create a choice. Because unfortunately, nowadays, unless you play something extremely powerful, something in the top 5, you're pretty redundant. Like your existence is pretty much redundant. I don't know about the new players of Black Desert, but I think this is a thing that we all know now, at least the veterans. We know about this now. Like this is how the game goes for at least the past 2.5 years. It's very sickening. Like it wasn't perfect 2.5 years ago, for sure. But as we get closer and closer, this gap starts to appear. Like I think it starts to get really, really bad the last 1.5 years. And to put this into perspective, the server is also messed up, so these things happen. The talk about Berserkers, Havoc, and all of this that we talked about in the very beginning of this video was that, okay, so the Berserker Havoc thrust has the CC frame is 2 meters in front of it instead of the animation itself. Okay, but that would be a lot more fightable or counterable or blockable if the server was doing well. The problem with Havoc thrust isn't the fact that it CCs you before it arrives. The problem is it's because the server is so unstable that you get punished even if you dodged it at the right time. So it's not really because the skill is broken only, but it's actually the main problem is because the server is so unstable that even if you can counter it, it doesn't work because the system would just bug you out. You'll get desynced, and then you get CC'd, and you get punished. Like this is just one example out of why I think Black Desert is slowly going down this loophole of utter bullshit. And I think this needs to change. And the first thing that needs to change, in my opinion, is they need to start thinking about, how do I make this game survive? And there will be two different ideas, at least from me. Fix the servers. The servers are messed up. The servers are so messed up that I'm pretty sure if they truly play the game, they would know that the system is messed up. The second thing is, the class balancing is very messed up. I've talked about this back when I was still a very active content creator for Black Desert. I talked about this with Roshio. I talked about this with Philange. If you guys don't know how to balance classes properly, if you guys don't know how these work, I can help you with that. I can help consult you. I can help give you ideas on what you guys might want to work on, and this could possibly be the first ever interaction between a player, a pro, of a very renowned community, and the game itself, to create a more balanced situation. Like, this happens in every single game, guys. Like, if a game is too unstable and the balancing is too bad, what will happen is people will get sick of it. And this is one of the reasons why people quit all those times. A lot of people quit because they're forced to play something they don't want, simply just as they're relevant. I think that this is just sad, in my opinion. It's just sad. Alright. I guess that's it from me for this ranting. It's been quite some time. It's been like 32 minutes of me just ranting. I hope you guys like this kind of videos. Some videos I just don't want to edit. I just want to talk about a couple ideas that I have, and what ideas that I want to talk about that I couldn't talk in my other videos, because this is very abstract and all that. I hope that you guys enjoy this kind of videos. I guess. And if you guys want more of these, I got a couple more topics to talk about. Actually, I've made enough scripts for 4 more videos. Let me know. I might think about it later on. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again on the next one. Bye.